Madagascar was a French colony until 1960, and Tanna was like nothing I'd ever seen before. One moment you felt you could be in a quaint suburb of Paris with its cobbled streets and 2 CVs. The next, in a more medieval world, powered by one of the iconic symbols of this country, the ubiquitous zebu cattle. Two days later, reunited with our luggage, we finally made it to Tulia, 400 miles south of the capital and back on the Tropic of Capricorn. Tulia sits on the edge of one of the great wonders of Madagascar, a unique landscape known as the spiny forest. Koko Rakatumalaza has spent most of his life studying this ancient habitat.
Looking at this, I would have thought it was almost dead.
Yeah, it looks like that because we are now in the dry season, so they lose all their leaves.
Okay. These are really sharp. What is this?
This is an endemic species for the south.
Right.
Belong to the family of Dideriaceae.
Has it got a common name?
In English, octopus trees.
In English, this is called octopus tree.
Octopus trees. Many species are just found in Madagascar.
Perhaps the greatest resident of the spiny forest is the mighty baobab.
Look at that. This is amazing.
You know how long this baobab have been here? To maybe 1,000 years.
1,000 years.
1,000 years.
Koko just said that the story of the baobab is that it's such a proud tree, God got angry. So he lifted it out and put it back in. And what we think of as the top is actually the roots. It's an upside down tree. You know, my image of Madagascar when I was a child was very much of almost a bit of a paradise with plants and animals and trees covering the whole island. How much of the forest is left?
10% of forest left.
10%?
10%. For all of the land.
Across the whole island?
Of all of the land. So
90% has been cut down?
That has been cut down and burned, and now we lose all of this.
So this is one of the last bits of proper forest that is left on Madagascar.
Much of Madagascar, the world's 4th largest island, was once covered by indigenous forest. What's devastated it is the practice of tavi, or slash and burn. You can see it everywhere.
So this area looks to my inexpert eye. Is this all slash and burn? Is this what we've been talking about?
Yes, this is a slash and burn I talked about before.
What was this?
This is octopus trees.
So this is the octopus tree we saw in the forest.
In the forest.
And here it's being chopped and burned. So here we've got a tree which is still on fire. I can see the fire underneath. So this is slash and burn at the moment. This is what's happening across the whole of Madagascar.
Yeah.
Slash and burn is mainly done to clear land for cash crops and the grazing of zebu. The great tragedy is that the burnt soil can only sustain crops for a few years before the land is left useless and the devastation is continued elsewhere.
When you see what's been lost, the fact that 90% of the forest in Madagascar is gone, how does that make you feel?
Sad, because some of these plants are not still identified. So every day maybe you lose a new species that haven't been determined before.
It's hard not to feel depressed at the destruction of so much unique natural beauty. But Koko believes that simply blaming the local people for doing it doesn't address the root of the problem.
To say to destroy, it's not maybe the right word, because people need land, people need to feed themselves. And I think we have to find another way to feed these people, another way to grow, to grow crops for all of these people. And that's help us to reduce the loss of forest.
Slash and burn in Madagascar has been recognised internationally as a major environmental issue. And new laws are belatedly trying to preserve what's left of the forests. We left Chile and drove east across the country. Even though much of the indigenous forest has been lost, Madagascar remains a stunning place. Every turn in the road seemed to reveal yet another extraordinary landscape. And the villages, too, could throw up a surprise.
Now it's trying to get into the car. What does it want? It's got the tail of a raccoon, but I think this is a lemur, isn't it? Yeah. So this is one of Madagascar's most famous animals, really. And this guy's just got it sitting on his head.
We'd come to Ilakaka. 10 years ago, this place was so small it didn't even appear on most maps. Then sapphires were discovered, and a tiny rural hamlet exploded into a modern-day Wild West town. An estimated 100,000 poor Madagascans have flocked here to dig their way out of poverty. Most take their chances in the ad hoc operations dotted all over the outskirts of town.
Bonjour, messieurs. Bonjour, 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 bonjour.
Jean is from Fianarantsoa, 150 miles away. He's the captain of this mine, which is little more than a deep hole in the ground, ventilated in the most rudimentary way imaginable.
Oh my God, this is a breathing tube. Can you imagine how dangerous this is? This is just plastic sheeting with a little bit of tape around it to hold it together.
Jean descends down this 18-metre hole up to 10 times a day, and for this he'll make about £1.
God, he's already just disappeared. It's just vanished into the blackness. So this shaft isn't much bigger than a manhole, and they've just cut it down, straight down through the ground. There's no bracing on the sides, there's no reinforcement to prevent it caving in. I can just see this tiny man and a shiny torch putting soil into the bag. And each time they're hoping that this is the big one, the sapphire that they've been looking for is in there.
Many workers have died down these mines. Often their families are too poor to recover their bodies, and they're simply left at the bottom of the dark holes.
And here he comes. Are you okay, Captain? What does your wife think of you doing this dangerous work?
We can only pray and rely on God. The main worry is, will I survive today? But that's the risk of the job. You need to survive. There's nothing else to do.
The miners bring their stones here, to the local gem market, which is run almost exclusively by Sri Lankan and Thai dealers.
This one pink.
Okay, that's a nice colour.
Blue.
So there's, you can see inside there, there's a sort of pink purple inside. That's really beautiful. I think you should pay a lot of money for that one. So there's a guy who's just put his hand through this window and he's just dropped a stone into the plate here. And the guy, the buyer here, is just going to take a look at it and decide if he likes it. So he wasn't happy with that, so he's off to look for another dealer.